Epiphytes are plants that grow on other plants such as trees, which we call hosts. Host plants provide a substrate for epiphytes throughout their life. Epiphytes are not parasitic and do not depend on their hosts for nutrients.
In fact, epiphytes can benefit their host trees and increase the biodiversity of ecosystems in both rural and urban areas. Epiphytes help hold moisture in leaf litter for their hosts and create mini ecosystems on host plants. They provide shelter and resources for birds, reptiles, and more. Epiphytes also create cooler, more aesthetically pleasing streetscapes that enhance appearance of urban areas.
There are many different types of epiphytes, and many of these kinds grow on a single tree at a time. Certain species of epiphytes are more common than others in the wet tropics.
One of the things we want to be very clear about is the distinction between what epiphytes are and vines are. So vines use a tree just for support for climbing. So they have ways to either twine around a tree or they have tendrils to grab onto branches. But they don't actually form roots on the tree. They are rooted in the ground, unlike epiphytes.
The majority of epiphyte species occur only in rainforest regions and are a conspicuous feature across many tree species in North Queensland. Globally, there are over 25,000 species of vascular epiphytes, representing 10% of the world's vascular plant diversity.
Even though epiphytes are highly abundant in this region, little research has been done on their tree presence in Queensland, especially in urban areas.
To fill this knowledge gap, here at the Centre for Rainforest Studies at SFS Australia, we are conducting a survey on epiphyte species diversity on urban trees in the upland and lowland cities and towns of North Queensland.
We were curious to see which tree species, on average, supported the most epiphyte species. We also wanted to examine the individual tree that supported the greatest number of epiphyte species. Having this information will tell us which trees will be good hosts for transplanting endangered epiphytes and increasing the biodiversity of urban areas. To capture a wide variety of climates, host trees, elevations, and epiphyte species, we surveyed urban tree populations across 10 cities.
Lowland towns include Mossman, Port Douglas, Kuranda, Smithfield, Cairns, and Gordonvale, and upland towns include Toga, Yungaburra, Malanda, and Atherton.
At each site, we surveyed host trees along roads, in neighborhoods, and in public parks, identifying each individual to the species level. We then gathered important physical features to describe the tree for further research, including total height, crown width, and trunk diameter.
Criteria was created before we began our data collection. Surveyed trees had to be at least 20 centimeters in diameter to ensure they were mature. We spent 5 to 30 minutes on each tree depending on how tall the trees were, how many epiphytes were there, and the visibility of those epiphytes on the trees. We used binoculars to identify small epiphytes and those growing high up in the tree canopy.
We examined 1,369 trees, representing 139 species, and found at least one epiphyte species on 616 trees, which is 45% of total trees recorded.
Of all the trees that we looked at, the individual tree supporting the most epiphyte species was a Ficus benjamina, or weeping fig, located in Kuranda. This tree had 14 epiphyte species. On average, the tree species with the most epiphytes was a Samania salmon, the rain tree, which had 6 epiphyte species.
From the data recorded, we found that Pyrosia longifolia, or the long-leaf felt fern, was the epiphyte found most frequently. Its presence was recorded in 21.5% of trees examined. This was followed closely by Drinaria rigidula, the basket fern, with presence on 20.3% of trees.
We were surprised to also find some uncommon epiphytes species growing on the street trees. These included Taniophyllum malari, a leafless orchid, and one fern species, the strap fern, also known as Dictyemia brownie, which are more likely to be found in the rainforest than in urban areas.
Our research can help to determine what street trees may be best to plant in towns and cities of North Queensland in order to increase ecosystem diversity. Tree species that support many epiphytes, such as the non-native rain tree, could be planted to encourage the growth of common and rare epiphyte species.
Alternatively, there are several native fig trees, such as Ficus benjamina, that could serve as great host trees for these epiphytes.
In addition to planting new street trees, it is equally important to support the existing trees. It is essential to ensure that street trees reach maturity, and are able to grow large and healthy. This will aid in the ability to support epiphytes, as we found that larger trees generally have a greater epiphyte diversity than small trees.
During our data collection, we found a number of trees that would likely be good hosts if there was a need to transplant endangered orchids or rare epiphytes. Another way of bringing native biodiversity in urban areas.
Additionally, there has not been any proper survey of lichens, moss, or any insect biodiversity. These are future research avenues that can provide more information on the epiphytes living in urban trees.
We hope to see you in your local town relaxing under the shade from these epiphyte trees.
Thanks for watching!